Hello, everyone, and Satnam. Welcome to Ask a Yogi, a show where we answer your questions about yoga, meditation, and the Kundalini. In today's episode, of course, we'll talk about the Kundalini, how to develop your intuition, creativity, and living as your authentic self. I am your host, Noribel Ordono. I am a teacher here at YOGAVISION, and I'm here with the one and only Salimah, yoga therapist and master yoga teacher trainer. Welcome, Salimah. How are you today?
Satnam Yogi, so good to see you. Good to be with you, be with everybody here. We take a few moments to recognize all the land that we are on right now. We're broadcasting live just outside of Toronto, and these are originally native lands. They are inhabited, the first people who inhabited these lands are we're the forebearers of all the prosperity and abundance that we have now. So a moment to acknowledge that. Wherever you are and however you are, there were a first peoples, and we want to acknowledge that for all. Satnam, great to be here. And thank you all for tuning in from all around the world. It's been an amazing journey to take our yoga studio, our bricks and mortar, our storefront from where it was a physical entity into this new space, which we've been part of for a long time, but now we get to gather here in this kind of experience all together. So if you could just drop us a note and let us know where you're coming from, whereabouts you're tuning in from, that would be great. It gives us a little sense of the world gathering at this very moment in time. It's a beautiful idea.
Would you like to tune in?
Yes. So let's start our practice now, our time together, our gathering by tuning in using the Adi mantra. So pressing your palms together at the center of your chest, lift your elbows slightly, sit with a tall, straight spine, lean up against your spine. Feel your spine support you. Make a connection to the ground below you and bring awareness to the universe above you. And know that you're in the perfect place in the perfect time, taking the perfect action. You are a conduit for all that is above, and so it is below. Let's tune in. Om Namo Guru Dev Namo. I bow to the teacher within. I call in my highest consciousness. Sitting up tall and straight, take a deep inhale, preparatory breath. Through the nose, soften, exhale, let it go. Inhale very deeply. Hold here. And through the nose, exhale. Beautiful. Inhale very deeply and let's tune in. Om.
Gurudev Namo.
Om. Gurudev
Namo.
Last one. Om.
Namo.
Gurudev
Namo.
Let that energy, that sound current run through you and around you. Feel your vibratory frequency and the connection between all of us here who have gathered onto the call, those who couldn't make it, and those who will be gathering next time. Satnam, prep to work.
Satnam, thank you to Tanisha and Vicky for tuning in today. So Salimah, tell me, I know you've been practicing Kundalini yoga for a couple of years now. What are some of the benefits you have seen?
Okay, Nori's being generous. It's been more than a couple of years. I'll tell you a little story because I think stories tell the truth best. When I first came across yoga itself, I was, let's just put it this way, I was a bit of a gym rat and I couldn't see the beauty of the practice. I wanted to push more. I wanted to be a little more aggressive in my practice. I didn't even have the idea of practice. I just knew I wanted to run fast and throw around big heavy weights. So the first encounter wasn't a lasting encounter. And it came much later when I got into a car accident. And that car accident was really a wake-up call. I was then, I think, grown enough to recognize that, you know, that kind of severe accident, if you're spared from that, if I was spared from that, it needed to be for a purpose. And that it was no accident or coincidence or mistake even that my life was spared. I was injured, and in my injury, I noticed that I wasn't able to even relax, to give myself time to rest. I wanted to go back to the gym, and I wanted to do all that stuff. And it wasn't possible. I had an injury that needed to be taken care of. And so in the process of looking for what's the next thing, what's best for my body, I came across Pilates, and then Pilates took me very quickly into the world of yoga. And, you know, for the most part, it was very simple things like a forward fold that really lit me up. I had all my eureka moments when I was in a forward fold. How simple is that? And so when I started to travel into this practice a bit more, I found it very healing. I found myself a little bit more relaxed and at peace. And when it came time to take it more seriously, it was a teacher that I would say studying with, but who I was practicing with, who said to me one day, you know, you really need to take this more seriously. And I thought, I can't do this posture and that posture. Like all my doubts came to the forefront. And I really thought that that's what yoga was, that if you could do crow pose, or you could do scorpion, or you could do a handstand or a headstand, that was yoga. And that was my perception. Mm-hmm. And what she said to me was, she looked me right in the eye actually, and she said, yoga has nothing to do with the postures. Oof. It was, you know, I still get goosebumps when I think about that experience, because what she said was so, it spoke to the core of me. It was sort of circumvented all of those misperceptions and disbeliefs I had about the practice and about myself. Mm-hmm. And when it came time to sign up for a yoga teacher training, there was a studio very close to my home, and it was teaching hatha and vinyasa yoga. And I could, for some reason, just hit and miss with the studio owner. Couldn't connect with her. Just didn't work out. And in the meantime, slowly, softly, I would go to all these other places, and I met this young woman, and I said, you know, I'm having these experiences with energy, and I really find meditation very clarifying. And she said, oh, have you tried Kundalini yoga? And I had sampled it before. I didn't know what to make of it. It's very, as I'm have been starting to say, it's not a very pretty practice. It has some rigor to it that's quite unusual and weird and not what I thought yoga was. Mm-hmm. So I hadn't encountered it, but I didn't really take it seriously. Let's put it that way. And then, so to cut that story short a little bit, because there were quite a few synchronicities. I'd met somebody who was a friend of mine, and we had a falling out. And then that was the person who reintroduced me to the practice. Mm-hmm. So she said to me, I sent her an email saying, can I talk to you? And she says, is it about yoga?
Okay. How did you know?
How did you know? Like what? You know what? So I was starting to have these experiences. Universe is listening. Actually, what I need, what I want, what I desire, what I'm hoping for myself is out there, and now it's being heard and felt, and now the channels or the portals are starting to open. And I said, yes, that's what I want to talk to you about. She called me 3 seconds later, and she said, do you want to give birth to yourself over and over again? Do you want to know who you really are? And do you want a practice that will last your lifetime? Yes.
It's a big yes.
Okay, yeah, here's the number to call. Call my teacher and tell them I sent you. And so I did. And that woman was remarkable. She had amazing words, and she really helped me feel lifted. I felt uplifted talking to her. And I found that really special. And she told me about the course, and she said, and for today, we're having a 50% off.
Just for today.
Today. And I was like, okay, I'll call you back. Well, you know, that, mind you, that was more money than I'd ever spent on myself. You know, I spent money on haircuts and clothes and all that stuff, but I couldn't fathom at the time spending thousands of dollars on myself. I just didn't, you know, I couldn't get it.
It's a risk. Investing so much in yourself. And
Yeah.
from my understanding with what Kundalini Yoga does, there's a saying that I hear a lot as your student is that we get comfortable with the uncomfortable during class, using our breath to move us through these uncomfortable moments, knowing that it's going to be bliss. There's going to be that feeling of elevation at the end of the tunnel. So, do you think your yoga practice during these times where it was allowing you to make these big steps and these big changes for yourself?
Oh, definitely. I mean, it was, you know, the car accident was a wake up call, and the tuning in was waking me up every time I did it, every single time. So every day when I tuned in, I did it. And very quickly into that yoga teacher training program, we had a 40-day challenge. And I think that was the clincher. And for many of you who I've spoken to online and through numerology, that's one of the first things I prescribe is Kirtan Kriya. Satanama. And when you start to take on this particular style of practice, there's so much that starts to open. And yes, I woke up every single day. I woke up every single day. I mean, I got out of bed, but I woke up. I woke up to the things that I was playing small with. I woke up to where I was holding back. And I woke up to wanting more. You know, I had a good job. That money wasn't the issue. It was something to challenge who I was, the caliber of who I was. And I wasn't finding that on my day to day. So yes, Kundalini yoga will wake you up, and it'll do it in a couple of different ways. If you will indulge me here, it'll do it sometimes by challenging us in a practice. Wow, that's hard. I can't hold my hands above my head for so long. And then we get bored. That's the second one. And the third one is, why should I? A little bit of arrogance. And all of those are meant to challenge our egos, meant to challenge our ideas of what we can and can't accomplish. And it's done through very simple means. When we hold ourselves at specific angles and triangles, it pressurizes the nervous system. And when our nervous system starts to respond, we gain all of our faculties. So not just our five senses, but also this very special thing called intuition. And that becomes a superpower. I can't tell you the number of times I've sat down and I said, okay, this is what we need to do. Not because anyone told me, not because it was, here's the protocol, here's the business protocol for this scenario. More that intuitively in myself, there is the right way to proceed. And oftentimes that's the only way to proceed. And if I make a mistake, I've made a mistake. And when I really fully, truly listen to that, then usually something magical happens. I mean, that's kind of how you came through, Nori. Mm-hmm. So we needed an extra set of hands who has this skills, tech, young, able to put software together, and a welcoming entity in the studio, and a yogi at heart. And we just put the call out. And Stephanie, who was working with me at the time, she said, well, where's this person going to come from? I said, just all we need to do is ask. And that was an intuitive hit. And then who walked through the door? Lori Bell Ordona. Famous last words. So that is part of what happens through a regular daily practice. And I would say for me personally, Kundalini yoga teacher training, it was next level. I mean, if this was next level, then here we go. Because not only through that did I stay in that job and progress in that particular job that I had. But I was able to leave and set up a yoga studio, and in the process get up here on YouTube 10 years ago and start to cultivate what is now a very important lifeline to a lot of people, myself included.
And it started with a 40-day practice.
Starting with a 40-day practice.
Wow.
Yeah. And we're doing that 40-day practice online on Facebook. So if you're on Facebook, for those of you who are listening, if you are on Facebook and want to join in, we're just about halfway through, a little bit more than halfway through, but feel free, grab some time with us and energy in that Facebook group. It's YOGAVISION 40-day global practice, I think. Nori will throw the link down below for you.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a very open group. We're discussing what happens when we're practicing, and a lot of people having personal gains along the way.
I have a question about intuition, those intuitive heads. How does it come to you? Does it come in a vision? Do you hear a sign? Does it come through synchronicities?
For me, when I'm sitting, usually it's not necessarily even in a meditative practice. It's sometimes in the shower, and it's a voice. So not a spoken voice, but a voice in my higher consciousness that is providing the insight. I know other people experience it visually, so they're able to see a vision. For me, it's much more of a clairaudient is how it's referred to. It's more that you can hear the unheard. Mm-hmm. I think that's a tuning in from tuning in. I mean, vibratory frequencies are what we work with in Kundalini yoga. So partly that.
And do you get a spark of creative energy once you receive these sort of messages?
Well, you've received my 12 a.m.
Yeah.
Haven't you?
Sometimes one if I'm lucky.
With like many things that need to get done. Yes, the intuition is partly creativity, because it is Kundalini. So a spark of intuition, a spark of creativity is really other ways to describe the rising of Kundalini energy. So the energy that is arising, the psycho-spiritual energy that is arising in the body to lead to an intuitive experience or a creative flash, that is a great indicator that the energy is rising, it's shifting, and we started to take ourselves to the next level.
And how do you learn to trust that?
Well, I think the proof is in when I don't listen.
Mm-hmm.
I have many years of not listening.
Mm-hmm.
I have, you'll experience this as you go through time and space and start to make some mistakes and then realize, oh, actually, I knew better. And then when you look back, you realize that all of that, or I realized that all of the information was right there, and I just did one of these. It's the good advice that you just didn't take. Yeah. Okay. Mm-hmm. I didn't see that. I didn't hear it. I didn't feel it. And now I feel it. Now I see it. So it's time that is the test. And sometimes it is just taking a risk. Okay. So, what's the harm if I zig and I don't zag? What's the harm? Mm-hmm. It is risk taking. I think intuition is about trusting the risk factor.
Mm-hmm. Trusting the doors are in front of you, and whatever lessons lies ahead.
Mm-hmm. And I think time is speeding up in a way that we now have access to much more of that information. The way that we can trust each other now digitally, where before we used to have to see each other, we have to go to meetings, we'd have to sit in class, but now we can sit across the screen from each other, and I know you, Nori, and you know me. And it's, on our side that we have had some time together live, but many people I'm meeting now online in numerological consults, we're meeting for the first time, and it's reacquainting, actually. It's powerful.
Mm-hmm. Especially from across the globe. This was unheard of 50 years ago.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Mm-hmm. In the sci-fi movies, having the holograms, we're here.
Yes, absolutely. I knew I liked science fiction for a reason. Yes, and right now we've just in my inbox alone, New Zealand and Germany, and, Arizona, California. We have some people from just around here, local to Toronto. And it's beautiful. Every time I look at my phone, I welcome the world. It's powerful.
There's power in finding that connection, especially in a time where it's been taken away.
Yes.
Perceived. Well, we
Perceive,
found
yeah.
a way, right?
Some of our freedoms feel limited, and other expressions of who we are and how we are have, I think, just like exploded. It's been great.
Freedom in other ways.
Freedom in other ways, yeah. Digital nomads.
So, what does Satnam mean to you, Salimah?
Satnam, we take it as a greeting. I see you in your truth. Sat meaning truth, Nam meaning name. So Satnam is a polite, respectful way to greet each other as yogis, and also to recognize that we are in our spiritual realm all the time. I think, hearkening back to my early days, I thought yoga was on the mat. And a lot of it is, that's where the training happens, that, 6 or 9 feet of space is a training ground. You get wobbly there, you get uncomfortable there, you tune into yourself there. And then my hope always is you leave class, or you pick up your mat in your living room, and you pick up your mat and you're a yogi everywhere. So you show up in the grocery store that way. Your kindness exudes through you to the people around you. And we have that positive influence. It doesn't mean that we never have a bad day as humans. What it means is that we can hold a space and the bar high for people who are around us, whether we know them or not, whether that matters or not. It's that we walk in a specific way to be responsible for the space that we are occupying.
And what advice do you have for someone who wants to show up this way, who wants to live in their truth?
It doesn't come from books. I've read millions of books on self-help, and really the time where it comes into play is when you activate. So you take on your practice. So come to your mat daily. I do. That's an unbroken chain. I didn't actually mention that I've been practicing for 15 years. So YTT for me was 15 years ago, and a very different world. And it's an unbroken chain since then. So there hasn't been a day where I've not practiced. Sometimes it's tiny, sometimes it's extended. And that is really where you start to see that rolling, exponential type of experience. So if you do a practice today, let's say your first practice is today, and you do another practice tomorrow. So today it rolls like a wave in the ocean. Tomorrow another wave comes through, and then another wave comes through. And so we are now starting to build momentum. And then after a certain amount of time, and it's different for everybody. For me, it's taken a little bit of time to be here, to embody the person that I am and how I need to show up in the world. The world shifted so that I could be in this time and space. And it is partly that daily practice. And in that daily practice, there will be a signal inside of you. And I hope that signal is to do yoga teacher training or some kind of enriched training so that you can really make the most of your human experience. We've all come with a set of precedents, achievements that we must make in order to really live this particular mortal life in the best of our capacity. And why not take that to the next level? And there's no age barrier. Some of us wake up very early. Some of us wake up later. Sometimes the opportunity comes now. Sometimes it's coming later. And it was yoga teacher training that did it for me. That was my step into who I really am, who I was. And I noticed that truth of who I am is continuing to shift. And this is what's brought me here today.
Oh, what a powerful practice.
Yeah, I mean, Kundalini yoga is my first love. It is the best friend that keeps showing up and a hug and a shove, and the most powerful realizations happen, I believe, because I've taken it on. and build a relationship with it. And I think you understand that. And I think other people here who are listening right now understand that it's not because you have to, it's because you want to. And it's not even just that you want to, it's that it's the right thing to do. And so then the next level is, okay, how do I learn more? What else is there to know? Because really we can only put this much into a 30-minute class or a 60-minute class, even if you come see me live. But an extended period of time where you're soaking in, you're reading, you're watching video, and you're connecting, and you're talking to other yogis around the world, it becomes a very real embodied experience. And that's the difference. There's a difference between practicing and embodying. And I've come to really appreciate that difference now.
I appreciate the sense of freedom that it's given me.
Say more.
I think back then, what I used to say, my story was that I like to be behind the camera. I didn't have that confidence for myself to be in front of it and to speak to the camera, what I'm doing right now. And I constrained myself. It was those self-limiting beliefs. And through the work that I did on my mat, and also having you as a mentor to give me a little hug and a shove in certain directions, yeah, I feel like I'm able to embody that vision that I had before, the one that wanted to get out of that cage of I can't became I'll do it.
Yes. Feel the fear and do it anyway.
Mm-hmm. Might as well.
Yes, exactly. Might as well, because once you get through it the first time, you have the second time. And it's a very powerful way to operate is to just decide. And we can't actually get there. We can't actually decide if our nervous system is not strong enough to hold the signal. You know, when you don't have a good Wi-Fi signal, it's really difficult to watch a video. It's very difficult to have a call and connect with somebody. Mm-hmm. And when your Wi-Fi signal is strong, you can hold the connection and finish off that conversation. So we're here in the same, we're operating under the same means in our own bodies. We're more electricity and vibratory frequency than we are flesh and blood. So how do we tune into that? We use sound, we use movement, we use intention, we use the mind and the breath. And a really deep study of that leads to a gold mine of next steps. And you don't need to know. I mean, I don't think you and I could have guessed this is where it would have taken me or would have taken you.
Yeah, no.
No, it was a hope. It was
trust, faith.
Yes. And a willingness to invest in yourself, I think. I'm worth it. So those are the things that you can gain from your practice on a daily. So for those of you who are now starting your practice, I know we have lots of beginners here. Take faith. It is not an overnight thing. You can have an overnight experience, which is wonderful and affirming. And it does take time to develop a practice. So a few things that can help. Number one is you join in on that 40-day challenge. It's the Kriya for creating self-love. And that's a great way to connect with a greater community. Secondly is to email me. If you found the idea, the concept of yoga teacher training interesting, then send me a quick message at love.yogavision@gmail.com. Tell me a little bit about you and your journey, and we'll set up a call and we'll learn from each other a little bit more so that you can tell whether this is the right program for you, and also if you're a good fit for the program. We now have people from just about every continent who are joining in. And so not only is it about Kundalini Yoga, 100% about Kundalini Yoga, but it's also a global experience, which is really interesting in and of itself. 300 hours of training, and a lot of that will be done with me, and a lot of that will be done with Nori.
Yeah.
Some familiar faces as you go through.
So thank you for tuning in, Scott. So we talked a lot about practicing today. Are you ready, Salimah, to move on and lead us through a practice?
Yes, absolutely. So we talked about investing in the self, and part of that, what can happen there while you invest in yourself is feeling a sense of abundance, feeling a sense of connection, and feeling yourself as being capable of doing just about anything. And so the meditation I've chosen today is the meditation for prosperity. And you can consider prosperity in lots of different ways. Prosperity can be about actually having enough resources, can be time, can be health, can be wealth, can be love. So however way you position yourself in terms of what that word means, prosperity. And know that you're worth it. And underlying the idea of prosperity is a feeling of self-worth. And that's what we're going to work on now. So we've tuned in already, and the meditation itself, now let's prepare for that, is a very simple. It uses a mudra. So the mudra is to bring the sides of the hands together. So you can see that the index finger or baby fingers are coming together and dropping that down. So as if you were holding a bowl. And as you do that, take your hands apart and chant har. H-E-R, har. And as you chant har, bring the belly button a little bit to the spine. So it's a little bit of a contraction in your navel center. Bring your eyes to the tip of your nose. So your eyes are a little bit open. So chanting har as you bring the baby fingers, the sides of your hands together. And then on the next har, flip your hands over and hit the sides of your index fingers together. So can you see that? Har, 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 har. So go at your own pace. Har, har, har. About 3 minutes. Har, 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 har. Good. Inhale deeply, bring your hands up and feel abundance. Feel whatever it is that you've set an intention for. Feel it flow into your hands. And then softly relax your hands down. Allow that energy to float for just a moment. You can continue to keep your eyes closed. Whenever I finish off a meditation, I especially when I've done one for the first time in a long time, or a new one, I feel a little ginger ale moment, a sparkly little moment inside, things start to wake up. So you may be experiencing something like that. Maybe not how I've described it, but something inside of you that just feels a little woke. Really powerful experience. And that's how you know things are starting to move for you. And when you apply intention to any meditation, it becomes a lot easier to bring whatever it is, bring that forward, to manifest that. So we did a tiny little practice there that was just about a minute, and Nori's now going to post the full prosperity meditation into this chat so that you can have access to it. It was done when I was much younger, so forgive the hair, please. And or know that it was coming from another space and time. And that was shot in my first studio at Queen Street West, downtown Toronto. So you have a full practice video of the HAR meditation, HUD meditation for prosperity, and the full pronunciations are there. Everything that you need, the tuning in and everything is there. And you'll have a remarkable time. You don't need to do it for very long. And if prosperity or something specific is in your heart to call in, then do that for 40 days and notice what happens. I think that's everything that we wanted to leave you with, unless there was any questions brewing from out beyond. Is there anything there?
Scott says hello.
Hi, Scott.
Vicky is here, so I'll wait a minute or so, see if anyone has any questions.
Hi, Vicky from California.
Vicky, you know who.
Yes, I do. That's awesome. And Vicky was one of the first people I met online, actually. And it was really powerful to meet her because it starts to put a name and a face together and reminds me that, this is not just YouTube land. We are all real. We're all real people with our own histories and stories and present moment experiences that we want to elevate. So Vicky, I appreciate you and thank you for being on the line. Shout out to Tanisha, who's part of our yoga teachers who have graduated and is making a big echo in the universe with justice and with peace. And Nori, who are always holding down the fort with me. Thank you for your presence. And again, if you'd like to get in touch, please do that at love.yogavision@gmail.com. And that will reach right into my inbox. Nobody else looks at my emails except for me. And let me know that you're interested in yoga teacher training. This is really the next level of your practice. If you really want to take things to the next level, if you like what we're doing here on this channel, there's always room to grow and there's always room to participate. So I hope that yoga teacher training is something that you might have in mind. We're starting in October and it's 100% online, 100% Kundalini yoga and 300 hours of an amazing study. So I look forward to hearing from you and enjoy that HUD meditation as well.
So I do have a question from Shalisa. When is the best time of day to meditate?
Good question. When you have time. So
yes,
whenever you have. It is, so let me rephrase. Our bodies are built best on repetition and routine. So that's why you're brushing your teeth in the morning or the shower that you take at night or the coffee you drink at whatever time of the day. That's very important because there's ritual based on that. And ritual is a very powerful way to cultivate presence and to be in the moment and mindful of what's happening. So when you choose a time and you can stick with it, then it becomes part of your day. Your body will look for it. It's 8 o'clock. This is when you usually do your meditation. Let's go. And there will be an inner calling, which makes everything so much easier. Does that help?
So you're conditioning yourself.
Yes. I'm not really a morning person. I mean, I will roll out of bed at the last very moment that I have to in order to get my day started. So that's not the time for me. And I also sleep later. So evenings when everyone's asleep and I can have the house to myself, that's when I find I'm best prepared to meditate. I've cleansed the day, I'm ready to sleep. So that's the time where I really appreciate being able to meditate. So everybody's different. I wouldn't put any strict rules around it. And at the same time, know that when you're building a habit, it's always a good idea to build that habit at the same time-ish every day.
At least for 40 days.
Yes, that's a great idea. Yeah.
What's the significance of a 40-day practice?
It takes 40 days to cultivate a new habit. So I know in popular culture, it's 21 days. And, if you've ever tried smoking, quitting smoke, not tried smoking, but quitting anything, it takes a little bit longer than 21 days. And so yogic practice is 40 days. 40 days to reset the nervous system, 40 days to welcome in all the changes that are required for that habit to become established. First landmark is 40, then 90, 120, and then 1,000.
Wow.
My first 40-day meditation, since you asked before, turned into 1,000 days.
And what was the first? It was a Kirtan Kriya?
Kirtan Kriya.
Powerful one.
1,000 days.
So Shalisa says thank you, and we have a hello from LOA Showroom. Hello.
Hello, thank you. Thanks for tuning in. Appreciate that.
Right, anything else, Salimah, you want to add in?
Again, thank you very much for tuning in. Thank you for reminding us of how important sitting down and practicing really is, and for your presence here online. It was quite it was a tough time when we were closing down the studio, and it became very easy for us to go online when we knew you were all here waiting and appreciating and cultivating your own practice. So it really drove us forward. And so if you're wondering, Nori is the person behind the camera always. So if you've appreciated what you're seeing on screen, that's from Nori, especially in the last couple of years. And Shaliza is working on our social media for Instagram. And so this really takes a village. And I wanted to give a shout out to everybody. Thank you so much. And we couldn't do it without you. Thank you for that. I can't say it enough. I feel very blessed and grateful every morning, where the studio itself, the bricks and mortar, has closed. The community is thriving. That's amazing. That's a good feeling to me.
I feel really grateful for the connection that's given me. I hope to all of you too.
Yes, thank you.
It's nice seeing some familiar names whenever we go on live, so thank you again. All right, so I guess until next time, we will go live every month. So be sure to stay in touch. Again, you can go to Salimah's email, connect with her personally if you want to learn a bit more about how to become one of her students. Until then, we'll see you all later. Bye.
Satnam.
Satnam.